Hey everyone, I am here with you once again after week one is officially done. I have gone from Albuquerque to, where am I at now? What's this place? Preacher Dam, which is by a town called Arre, and I will be going from here through Hatch into Deming. So what this is all about, less of the biking, cycling stuff, and more about some of the realizations I've had recently. And some of these realizations have been quite profound. One of them is trusting my intuition. The times that I've not listened to my intuition, my path has wandered in weird directions, and I've ended up having to do excessively more work for absolutely no reason except I had an idea, right? So maybe that is probably one of the biggest realizations I've had. Um, Food is probably my biggest expense. That is, I think, has been the case for a long time, but now it's really evident that I'm not spending money elsewhere. I'm just spending money on food, which is kind of funny. Um, Another realization that I've had recently is less seems to be a lot more. So I mean that in a whole bunch of different ways. First of all, let's go with the physical domain. I had a lot of stuff with me on my bike. I had climbing gear and jewelry making stuff and all kinds of random things that I was like really attached to. And I realized that attachment, like this trip is almost like a physical manifestation of my attachments in life by having to cart around 125 pounds or 60 whatever kilos is really showing me in a really physical, very tangible way just how much attachment I have. And I don't have that much stuff. Like I have my clothes and my bike and food supplies and water and all of that, like all condensed into everything that I own can fit on a bicycle. Now think about how much attachment, not physical, now we're gonna shift gears, but how much attachment to other things we are dragging around with us all the time too. Like my attachment of wanting to present myself in a certain way, or my attachment of just wanting to see beautiful things all the time, or my attachment of living the right path and doing the right thing. And these are things that, who's to say they're right? I mean, everything that is happening in our lives is happening for a very specific reason. And I can say this about myself is I am coming to understand a lot of these things and why they're happening and why things are coming up like this, like the attachment thing, the less is more thing, the intuition. These are all things that we don't trust very much, we don't have much faith in. And I think a lot of this is a really strong faith-based exercise for me because I don't like to do things the easy way. But it's just something that happens. I think we need a lesson of the proper magnitude to be presented and worked through for it to actually have its effect, So that is something that I think a lot of you might be able to take home with you, is kind of acknowledging those attachments and acknowledging these lessons and acknowledging what is presented, how strong it is presented, and what you're supposed to get from it, right? So Everybody's situation is going to be different. Mine's different. Yours is different. But what we can say is that the underlying theme, the overarching theme, however you want to phrase that, is going to be relatively the same. You know, we're all here to learn, and learn we shall. So I know there's a couple of points that, all right, I'll go ahead and just say them anyway. So I've had a really rough couple of days, the last couple of days, just because I was in a cool spot at Elephant Butte and walking around doing my thing, and I had a really hard time sitting still. I feel like I'm still just going forward, 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 forward. And I think that's something that a lot of us do, is we just try to go forward and go forward and go forward instead of actually just stopping, chilling out, and being present, you know? Like, we have like stuff like this around us all the time, you know, beautiful scenery and beautiful skies and just nature and everything in abundance, man. And if we can take our time and just stop and just be still and take it in, then I think that'll do us a world of good. I mean, just today I was frantically running around, didn't really want to stop, to sit still, but I'm exhausted, you know. I had like 40 miles of headwind today, like 15-20 mile an hour headwinds coming. It was just pretty brutal for the entire day, literally the entire day. And I just stopped next to this tree and I put my hand on the tree, and the effect that that had on me was so profound. Just chilled me out, slowed me down, allowed me to reconnect with my surroundings. And I can't attest to this any more than I am right now, is I feel that is one of the major things that are out of balance in the world in regards to humanity today, is we don't stop and commune with nature and chill and hang out. We're just going, 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 going. So as a collective, we are all out of balance. And it's finding those ways, those subtle ways, just putting your hand on the ground, laying in the dirt, looking up at the stars at night, touching a tree, playing, doing whatever you can do in nature to reconnect and to slow down and to appreciate what we have, is something that not only will affect us as individuals, but us as a collective in terms of humanity. And we will see that manifest the more people get on board with that kind of thought process. So, I mean, a good example of it last night, I had a zipper on my tent break and I was getting really frustrated, and I was like, screw this. Like, grabbed all my stuff and threw it in my hammock and just slept in the hammock. And guess what? You know, like, being suspended and swaying at night is actually quite comfortable. There's something different, you know? And I was just frantically like, why can't I get this to work? And I was just like really aggravated, and it was late and I was tired and I just wanted to go to sleep and I couldn't do it. And I was just going. So whenever I stopped and chilled, went to bed, woke up in the morning and tried it again. It took me about 45 minutes, but I fixed it. Done. Yay, I got a zipper tent that works now. Like, how fantastic is that? You know, bugs can stay in their environment while I sleep in mine. But it's just, that's just a small example of this, you know what I mean? Like, how many times have you been trying to do something all frustrated, and then it ends up creating more things that frustrate you. And it's emotion plus thought equals manifestation. That is something that I can say, like, without 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, I know this because whenever I have super happy thoughts and I think super happy things, amazing, incredible, awesome things happen. Whenever I have really crappy thoughts and I'm really aggravated and my energy is really low and grimy and grungy and just blah, and then the thoughts that follow also are like that, then we start to manifest these angry thought emotion manifestations, right? Which can then just kind of perpetuate themselves. So the only way to get out of that is to recognize you were doing that. Stop, take a breath, reset, and find any way that you can to pick up your vibe. So, I mean, if that's just smelling incense, if that's going out and watching a sunset, if that is, I mean, do this sparingly, but if it's, I mean, enjoying a certain kind of food that you really like. I'm not saying like binge out on, Twinkies and Oreos or something like that. I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess, but that's not what I'm condoning. What I'm saying is find something that can lift you up, right? And once you get lifted up, now it's not just to fall back down and do it again. No, it's to use as a stepping stone to the next elevation and the next elevation and the next elevation until eventually you're vibrating at a frequency that you're manifesting with your thoughts the things that you want to have happen in your life. And so this is a big thing that I'm going to carry forward with me. I've been realizing this a lot. Whenever I get frustrated, I start to manifest really, really silly things. And it can be quite aggravating. So I'm not going to do that. Or at least I'm going to be aware when I am doing that. And I'm going to correct my behavior. And I'm going to see where that takes me. Because this is a journey of self-discovery, you know what I mean? For every single one of us, not just me on a gigantic bike ride, like for you going to work and interacting with a coworker you may not get along with so well, or maybe with your kids, like if you have a couple of kids and they're just bickering and arguing and fighting, like this is part of your journey. This is what you've signed up for, man. Before you even manifest it into this body, you picked this life. Remember that. You picked this life for a very specific reason. For what reason? I don't know, man. Like, I asked myself this too. I was like, what am I meant to learn about this? Like, what am I, like, I mean, it's been lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson, and I'm still having these recurring themes, so obviously I haven't learned from those lessons quite as much as I should have in the past, I suppose, but what is it you're supposed to learn? Spend the time looking inward for the answers. Don't just Google it. Like, what lesson am I supposed to learn? Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you're going to get 7 billion different answers because, there's 7 billion of us. But the thing is, we are here for very specific reasons. And we have chose this. And I challenge you all to venture inward and figure out what those lessons are. Okay? So I know this is probably one of my longer videos, but I feel this stuff is really important to sit with. I mean, take home with you what resonates, but these are some truths that I've recognized that I think a lot of us do. Like to recognize that we're out of balance and how to correct that balance. If we're too heavy and too grounded and too stuck, then find a way to pick up your pace and move around and rebalance that equilibrium, right? Or if you're just going, find a way to stop and to slow down. If your frequency is too low, try to balance that with a higher frequency, so then you're walking that middle path. I mean, a lot of what's going on is rebalancing. And I think that if we can learn how to rebalance ourselves, then the rebalancing of our environments and everything around us will also follow. So I think that's gonna be me for today. Um, I want to go eat dinner. I'm hungry. But and I also want to look at some birds and watch the sunset because this place is absolutely meant for bird watching. Actually, speaking of, look at that beautiful guy. Um, so I'm gonna go do that. You go do you, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already and you like what you see, go ahead and do so. You can also follow me on Instagram at jcales13, JCALES13, or the cycling custodian. Just type that into the search bar and you'll get that. And feel free to add me on Facebook. I don't really care. Joshua Cales, Cales. Um, all of that being said, I wish you all many blessings and keep doing you the best way you know how. Alright? And when those lessons present themselves, learn from them, grow from them, and until the next one comes. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care.